Okay, so now we're going to put it all together. We've got all the pieces here ready to go. White moves first. And we're going to take this opportunity to demonstrate the concept of castling, which we'll get to in a moment. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, d4, and then let's play e takes d4, knight takes d4, knight takes d4, queen takes d4, and we'll play d6. It's white's turn. Bishop c4, and probably knight f6. Now it's white's turn to play. In chess, there's a very special maneuver. It's a special move that the king and the rook do together. And the way it typically works is the king moves over two squares. In this case, he would move over. One way to think of it is he's going to move over to a square of the same color as the one he's on. So he's on a dark square. So the white king would move over to the next dark square, which would be g1. And after he does that, the rook is going to move to the other side, which would be f1. So the way you typically do it, if you were playing tournament chess, is you would grab the king and move him over to the next dark square, and then you would bring the rook around the other side. And the rook would kind of hop over the king. So on the computer screen, it looks like this. We grab the king and we move him over two squares, and the rook jumps over. And that's called castling. And you can do it one time during the game. The king must not have moved during any time during the game, and the rook that he castles with must not have moved either. And in addition to that, the king cannot be in check. He cannot move through check, and he cannot move into check. So basically what that means, let me back up here. It means that the king must not be in check, or under attack rather, same thing. The f1 square must not be under attack. And of course, the g1 square cannot be under attack. So we're saying he cannot be in check, he cannot move through check, and he cannot move into check. That's basically what they're telling you. Now, you can castle to the other side of the board as well. Let's demonstrate that. So let's see here. So white castled, right? And then black made a move. Let's take. Bring the rook out. Move the queen over. And now bring this bishop over. That's really a bad move. Let me play something else. Okay, bishop g5. And now black is going to castle. And here's the way it works. Just like what we just did with white. Castling on the queen's side, the side that the queen was originally on, is called castling long, because you see there are more squares between this king and the rook on the A file than there were between the king and the rook on the H file. So if you castle towards the H file, that's called castling short. If you castle towards the A file, it's called castling long. But they will both work the same way. The king moves over to a square of the same color as the one he's on. And then the rook is going to come around to the other side, to the square just on the other side of the king. And so let's do it. So the king moves to c8, and the rook comes over to d8. And now the black king has castled. Of course, in this position, it was a terrible move because then comes queen takes a7, and we see black has some serious problems because his castle position has already been infiltrated. Anyway, that's castling.